Well, we're just back from a fantastic joint training day with my 4x4 response group, COTAG, and the Highland 4x4 response group away up in the moors near Tomatin and Inverness. It was a fantastic day. We did some winching, first aid, we did some first on scene stuff, we did communications, lots of good exercises, and with a great bunch of people. However, during the winching exercise, the 110 front winch produced a lot of sparks and then stopped working, so I returned home with the winch bumper of shame. Yeah, it's a good look if you want to do the James Bond or Camel Trophy thing, but the reason that cable is wrapped around there is I think the solenoids have packed up. I always use heavy duty Albright solenoids, but it is just a fact that when you're using DC high current switching, the solenoids are only going to last so long. So today we're going to get this winch cable off. It's a good chance to inspect it and probably take the whole winch out of the bumper. We'll get it on the bench and just give it a strip down, check the brake, all the bits and pieces, and then chuck it back on. Right, just need to get an Allen key in there now and get that cable released. Freedom. Next job, take the cover off, undo the wiring, it's isolated inside, undo the winch bolts, we'll get the whole winch out, and I'm going to take the brake apart and just make sure that's not sticking. This winch is a Goodwinch, but I got it spec'd with an extra large drum, so it's actually got the same length cable on it as an 8274, so it's like, I think it's about 150 feet, which is a good 50 feet more than you would get on most winches of this size. So that's for the wireless remote, that's its little antenna. I've got the yellow is the control from inside the cab. These wires are going to the remote control here. So yeah, I normally take a photograph of this stuff before I take it apart. Our main battery leads are all pretty tight. Sometimes winches stop working because with the power they're using, if you have a loose connection, it's like a massive resistance. But everything seems okay, so I suspect this is the issue. It doesn't actually look like an Albright. It's maybe the original one that came on the winch. Okay, so we'll take all these connectors off once I've taken the photograph, remove the heavy duty battery leads, and then I'll undo the bolts, including the motor earth, which is a bit of a faff, and then we'll get this winch lifted out. Thankfully the colour coding's quite good on these. 3 blues, 3 blacks, and then a yellow and a white and a brown. Spacers. Alright, let's get this on the bench and see what's going on with it. Before we go any further, I'm going to say this isn't helping. Test this winch motor. Put my negative lead on the motor earth, which is the bolt on the bottom. I'm going to connect my positive battery lead to F1 field winding, and then I tap F2 and the armature together, and nothing. So I then swap it for going in the other direction, so I've got my positive on field 2 and still nothing. So this Bowmotor has joined a long line of Bowmotors from Goodwinch that haven't really lasted the time. Here's where we're at with this now then. So this winch is the winch that lives in the back of the 110 to power the crane when we're using it for rallies. It has also got a Bowmotor 1 on it, which is known to be good. I'm going to disconnect it. It uses Anderson leads to connect it to the vehicle electrics. So we'll take these motors off, we'll whack that on there, and we'll see if we can get this winch going, because I still want to test and service the brake, which is on the other end. Now I have the earth off, all I have to do is undo the 3 motor terminals, but not before I've taken a photograph of them, because it could be months before these go back together again. Might even print this one off. At least they're colour coded, green, yellow and white. So we'll nip these off, 2 bolts out the back, and get this on here and get it going. The reason I decided to do this job today is it was supposed to be raining from lunchtime, and it's now 4:15, and that's the first drops of rain. Voila! One winch motor, and it smells a lot nicer than that other one. And the good thing is it's come out, it's left the bearing in there, which is good, because if it come out with the bearing on the shaft, sometimes they're a bit of an issue to get rid of. Yes! Oh, straight in. Right, you stay there. You have to be careful, because I think that although a lot of the bolts look the same, I've come across different threads. And this is only aluminium, so it doesn't take a lot to wreck it. Definitely don't want to be forcing any kind of cross-threading activity on this. Right, put my jumper wire on between the armature and F1. And now between the armature and F2. Fantastic. My next job here is to look at the brake, which just involves 3 Allen headed bolts to take this cover off, which that one looks pretty rounded. That's not good. Sometimes using a different set helps. Ooh, that's gripping on it. There we go, no problem at all. Well, sometimes we can go a whole year without using this winch at events, especially if all I'm having to do is suspend tows using the rear winch on the vehicles, so the brakes can stick from time to time. That's either painted on or seized on. Might have to abuse a screwdriver for this. Here we go. Just to break the little seal. Oh, it's coming. There we go. And you can see it's full of rubbish. Standard winchy type bearing, just needs a bit of a clean. And that's the shaft that goes all the way through to the motor, and this is the brake in here. Now there's a spring behind this, so if I undo these 2 circlips and this comes out, it's important that I remember how many times I've turned it, so I can get it back the same way. And that's how you adjust the brake. You take the circlips out and you can actually rotate it anti-clockwise 1 turn, and that will tighten up the brake. And beware flying circlips. There we go. And you can see the whole thing tries to spring out there. So if you can imagine that's your brake disc. Looks okay, it's got a little hole in the spring here, duplicates in a hole in there. And this is your friction surfaces inside here. And it shouldn't take much. Still plenty of friction surface on these. Once we've got one out, the rest of them won't be a problem. And inside there is the second part of the, what you would call the brake disc. We have a look in there. Just needs a little bit of a blowout. Apart from that, it's all good. Hear that rain now. Try not to breathe this in. Well, I'm sure you heard my air compressor kick in there, so I've just been rubbing these down as a sanding block just to roughen up the friction surfaces on all of these. It's nice and clean in there. Clean the bearing, pop it all back together, but it's absolutely hammering the rain out there, so I'm away to find all my tools I've left lying out. Pop these back in. Now the other side of the disc. Make sure I get the spring located. Right, that's my other half of my disc located, or I'm calling it a disc. Now we put this on, but we give it half a turn to put a bit of tension on it. And then it's circlip time. Should be plenty of room now. I've actually applied the brake. Just get that on there. Perfect. And there's holes in here that aren't screw holes, you know, that's a screw hole there, a bolt hole. Bearings just come straight out. Wonderful. Bit of copper slip on these just because one repaired winch, courtesy of a stolen motor. Checked the brake, cleaned it out, put it all back together again. And I'm not going to put it back on the vehicle tonight because I've got some welding to do on the front bumper A-bar. So I'll do that first and then we'll get this back in. So I need to do some work on this bumper. I stupidly used to mount my high lift jack here when I was doing off-road events, and it's probably put too much stress on this A-bar. You can see the welds have cracked, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to take these little front strobe lights off on each side and then see if we can get in about this and tidy it up. Still need it really because I've got these flashing white lights that also are fog lights on the front. When I actually bought Reggie, he didn't have a winch, but he did have this bumper with the A-bar on it, and I can't really remember exactly what I did, but I like the bumper because it's a raised bumper, so better ground clearance, and it had the recovery eyes on it. And I think I chopped it up. I made the winch tray, welded the winch tray in, and then I think I put the original bumper ends back on. Got this ground off now. I'm going to plate it, I'm going to clean all this up, put a bigger plate on, and then just try and weld it back round. Gets to places grinders can't reach. Cheap eBay rubbish. Repair is brought to you courtesy of Tesco wheat biscuits. Cardboard aided design. I'm going to cut the repair piece out of, I think, 3mm plate, so it should be enough room to fill, just fill this gap. The plan is working. It's filled up the gap quite nicely, good bit of strength there, so the only way I can ruin this now is by blowing it to bits with my welder. Acceptable. That's it done. And it was just when I was nearly finished I realised my glasses were hanging off of my neck rather than being on my eyes. So that's why I couldn't see what I was doing. Right, I might give this a coat. I'm actually going to give this a quick sand down and give the whole bumper a touch up because it kind of needs it every couple of years. Then we'll get the winch back in. I constantly get asked, powder coat it, get it powder coated. Powder coating's alright, it looks amazing for a while, but then a few stone chips, the water gets inside it, freezes, expands it, cracks the coating, and now it just starts falling off. I'd rather just give these a paint every couple of years. Good old Aberdeen ship primer. Some professional help with the paint job. So I've got this plate back on. The screws for the winch solenoid could be a challenge to find. The battery leads can really only go one way because they're so customised. So I'm going to make a guess at it. Probably wrong, and then I'll check my picture. So that's correct, that one does go there. Just try and get the nut on it, which leaves that one there for 12 volts in. So once this is done up, that'll be it for the night. Let the bumper paint dry, get back on it tomorrow morning, clean all the battery connectors up with a nice little brass wire brush, and we'll get everything hooked back up. The wire rope, I'll give that a good check and get that back on. The wire rope will be getting lubed. I've got this new lubricant I'm going to be using, which is, it's kind of like a sticky WD-40. I'll show you that in a minute. The paint dried nicely overnight, so we'll get the fair lead back on. Trying not to chip the paint, and then drop the winch in, and then I'll be relying on my photographs I took to remind me how to wire the thing back up again. almost an interference fit. Right, the faffing part is to get the bolts that have to come up through the winch plate, up through the spacers, and then thread into the bottom of the winch. Well, something's bound to go wrong because that went far too smoothly. Okay, now to consult my photographic evidence of how it all goes back together up onto the solenoid. So I've got my earth on the bottom of the motor, I've got my connectors back on, but before I put all this back together, I'm just going to hire an assistant to work the controls and make sure it's all working properly. In. Winch out. Okay. Thank you. And on the remote. Excellent. Several hours later, so everything's back together. Off camera, I've been doing a load of work. I've been right around all four corners, checked wheel bearings and checked brakes. Done a little bit of tarting up. Oh, that was a Mall Rally sticker that came off. Resprayed the checker plate here. I've got a locker around this side which I think was originally white and it was starting to flake, so that's had a wee touch up. That's the locker which keeps the recovery kit for the vehicle in all the time, so no matter what's in these lockers I know I've always got a jack and a tow rope and a shackle in there. So that we don't go into that one too often, to be honest with you, because we've normally got the rest of the recovery gear. So I'm going to put the winch rope on and I'm going to lubricate it. I've got this stuff here, it's Bulldog BDX. Now the guy I bought it off, a company in Northern Ireland, they really recommend it as a lubricant, and it's more sticky than WD-40, so it should be perfect for lubricating a wire winch rope. A lot of people don't lubricate their winch ropes, but it does need done from time to time. Got a wee flat spot on the winch cable here, just where it's probably overlapped on the drum. Now as long as there's no broken strands, my view has always been it's okay to just hammer these out. Just you work your way along the rope a few inches either side and it tends to just put the rope back into shape. I'm not absolutely smashing it to death, I'm just giving it a wee massage. Yeah, that's a lot better. How's the garden though? Good. Wee bit of PVC tape over the end of the winch cable just to help get it in, and surprisingly it's just a tiny little grub screw that holds it. But the reason for that is you never ever take your winch cable to the end of the drum, you always leave half a dozen turns on, so the actual capstan effect of the friction of the cable on the drum is what holds it on, not the grub screw. And now Mo is going to help me. We're going to attempt to get this thing on in a reasonable order with a little bit of tension and some of this lubrication. Winch in. Okay, give it one circuit. Winch in. This bit's going to need a bit more oil because this bit's the bit that gets used all the time. Okay, give me a slight amount out and then just nip it. Perfecto. Okay. Thank you. And there ends that video. Well, we've got a little bit of painting to do, and then Reggie's off on a special mission next week. Thanks for watching, see ya.